As a month came and gone, the students noticed on the bulletin board that they had to report to the gymnasium. The students were very confused by this, considering that if it wasn't that big of an issue or a big deal, usually they just announce it on the intercom. But they were expecting to come to the gymnasium at 7 o'clock, which was more confusing considering that if the situation was really big, usually it was a big announcement. As the students come into the gym, the students whisper upon themselves, wondering what could actually have happened and what was the actual problem here, not knowing why they were there. An hour has passed, and May actually came up to the stage. Grabbing a microphone, she then spoke. Students of the 300 Academy, I am pleased to announce that we have actually opened up a new program called the Task Form Board. These tasks are things you can do around the neighborhood and to help others around the area. This way, our reputation of the 300 Academy will thrive. The students looked very confused by this because they didn't understand what was going on. That's when Terry actually came up to the stage and grabbed the microphone to further explain. Look, I talked to the mayor, he said. I understand that the reputation of the 300 Academy is lacking, in a better word. So the mayor actually agreed to do this. If you go onto your phones and you go onto the school website, you will notice that there is an actual announcement saying that you can sign up for the task bulletin board. Now, you don't have to actually sign up if you don't want to, but it will be a good thing, so this way your school or our school can bring back its reputation of helping those who are in their facility and neighborhood. Look, the people around this neighborhood do not trust the members of the 300 Academy, and rightfully so, considering you guys have enough power to destroy a whole entire army. It's not that the people don't like you, it's that they're afraid that you guys could actually betray them and actually enslave them, and they do not want that. So therefore, they choose not to like you, or in other words, to distance themselves from you. But with this task force and task forms, you can actually help out these folks in the neighborhood, and maybe they can see you in a different light. The students looked at each other at his words. Understanding this, 80% of the students did cheer. They was happy to figure out something they can actually do to get the reputation of the 300 Academy in a higher remark. Others was a little skeptical, not knowing if this could be a trap. Terry then replied, I understand some of you may be a little bit freaked out or frightened that you don't want to do this because it could be a trap. And trust me, I don't blame you. I looked at this backwards and forwards, but unfortunately, this is the only thing I can think of that can actually help the reputation of the 300 Academy. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do it. I'm not even going to force you to do it. But if you want to, this will be a good opportunity for you to actually do good within the neighborhood. If you want to sign up, just go online, go to the website, and go onto that post that I told you about. After that, all you have to do is just put your student ID number in there, and you'll be seeing some tasks that you can do around the neighborhood. If the neighborhood actually likes what you've done, they will give you a 1 to 5 stars. This will tell them that you're either a good worker or a bad worker, and you can get more jobs in the later future. One kid stood up and asked Terry one question. Besides our reputation, do we actually get any other reward for this? May then took the microphone and stood up. I talked to the principal about that. And the good news is that if you sign up and you do a good job, it can be an extra grade for you if you haven't done very good in your actual studies. This grade will actually count as 50% of your freelancing actual academy grade. So, if you're not doing so good in your other subjects, this can give you a major boost. But it only happens if you do a good job at the work. So if you're taking a lot of tasks but you're completely lacking in those talents, then your grade will not actually improve. But if you do, and your grades can actually increase, maybe even from a 50 to an 80. Definitely if you're good at your work. If we see that you got multiple 5 stars, then you will be in a good kind of reputation to actually graduate from this academy. The students all cheered at that, considering that All they had to do is complete some tasks for some people, and they can actually be rewarded for their grades. And not only that, it can actually help the 300 Academy's reputation. A win-win for them. Terry then sighed for relief, considering that his talk with the mayor didn't go always or the best as planned, considering that the mayor was a little skeptical of the actual situation, because even she did not know that some people could either trapping them, and she didn't want that to happen. But she did want to see how this all played out. Terry then sighed for relief, considering that the plan did work out. He then looked at the gymnasium door, and he actually saw Keith looking at him, staring at him. Very calculated. Terry already understood that Keith wanted him to fail. He just needed him to fail, so this way things can go back to the way it was. But the way that things were not good for the Academy. All it is just living in fear and thinking that something could happen at any moment. May then looked at Terry, but then looked at the where he was looking at and actually spotted Keith. She then tapped on his shoulder and then told him, "Look, I understand how Keith is, and I know how he works. He's not going to actually try to sabotage us, at least I don't think he will, but he's just waiting for us to fail. All we have to do is prove him wrong, and that's it. Then he'll back off, okay?" Terry nodded. After class came and gone, Terry then went to the club room. No one was there except for Keith. He looked at him with a smile on his face. "When are you in the school council?" Keith asked. Terry then just looked at him. "I was supposed to meet Mary here. We're about to go over some stuff." Keith just looked at him, still smiling. "You already know what will happen if you fail, right?" Terry just looked at him with a lazy look on his face. I know. You can hit me, okay?" Keith just looked at him. "It's not that I'm going to end up hitting you. It's the fact that if any student actually does get hurt on one of these missions, I'm going to assume that a lot of other students may follow suit and not want to do any of these things that you actually think that is going to help." Terry then looked at Keith. "Do you really want the students to actually fail to getting their reputations in a better position here? Or are you just spiting me?" Keith just looked at him. "I want our school to have a good reputation, but I don't think that this is going to be as simple as you think it will be. Human emotions, human behavior." Terry then stopped him, putting a hand in front of his face. "You do know that you are human, right?" Keith looked at him. "I know that. But people who fear, their emotions are all over the place. You never know what the desperate man can do. And trust me, I don't want any of our students to be around that kind of situation where a desperate person is going to come out and get them, because you never know what could happen." Terry couldn't really argue with that. He's just hoping that nothing like that ever actually happens. May enters the room and scanning the situation. She can feel the awkwardness actually coming up. It's kind of like you can cut it with a knife. She then looked at both of them. "Is everything okay?" she asked. Terry then looked at her, but Keith answered first. "Yeah, everything is good, just fine," with a smug look on his face. "What about you, Terry?" Terry ignored Keith and just looked at May. "Everything's just fine. No need to worry, I can handle myself." Keith just walked past Mary and walked outside the room and told her, "Good luck, 'cause I think you're going to need it." He walked out of sight and out of mind. Terry then asked, "Do you really think he would try to sabotage us?" May just looked in silence, but she finally spoke. "I'll keep an eye on him, but I'm hoping that he doesn't do anything stupid. It's not like him, but I wouldn't put it past him." As a month passed, May is looking at the results of the actual tasks on hand and seeing what has already changed. As she looks at the town's attitude towards them, it was risen from 10% to a 30%, meaning that people are actually happy about the tasks that they're doing. Giving a helping hand to the people that they actually live around is actually showing very good results. The students are overjoyed by helping people and getting good grades, while the townsfolk is happy to accept the job that they actually are doing and helping them out. While May is doing calculations, she understands that 10% and 30% isn't a big leap, but it's only been a month since the actual task has been accepted within the townsfolk. She calculated within a year the actual number should be, or maybe somewhere around the 80%, maybe less time than that. She leans in her chair happy to see these results. She's happy that the students are actually having some fun doing the tasks, while actually helping out the townsfolk of doing their actual jobs too. As she looks at all the photos of some students of what ranks they were doing, she is a little disappointed in some students, considering that they already are at like 2% of their actual tasks. Some have 2 stars, while others are 4 and 5. Most of these tasks are not that hard, but it could be some students are making mistakes and errors. Luckily, it's not that big. It's something that she should talk to these students about, but she's not taking it too much to heart. Just then, she hears a knock at the door. When she looks back, she sees Terry looking at her. "Hey, you do realize that the day is already over, right? I'm surprised you're still in here working." May looked at him. "I'm the student council president. My work doesn't end up being done just because the bell rang. Besides, I don't like leaving work here tomorrow when I can easily just get it done today." Terry shrugged. "Yeah, I understand that. I don't like doing work all the time, but if I see I can do something today then doing it tomorrow, I'll most likely just do it the day that I'm getting the job done. So, what are you doing anyways?" May looked at him and answered, "I'm just looking at some reports, some files that's about students and our actual numbers on how the tasks are going. It's going pretty well, as you may know." Terry's excited. "Perfect. I knew that this thing would work. I was surprised that it's actually going this good, though. So, what's the percentage of the townsfolk actually liking these?" A smile comes upon May's face. 30%. 30%, you say? Terry asks. "Well, it's actually better than what it was last time at 10%. Terry looks surprised. "Well, a 20% difference is something, and it's only been a month, so yeah, I can actually see that. But I'm just surprised that they're succeeding so quickly, considering that people really were afraid of us. I was surprised that the numbers went up so quickly. I guess people do really like our help. Considering that we have this power and stuff, it shouldn't be that hard. It should be like a cakewalk." Maiden looked at him. "You do realize that we're not actually fighting anyone, right? It's pretty much like babysitting, transporting, and stuff like that. It's nothing too difficult. The people shouldn't have any big trouble, but it is good to actually help people nowadays with our power, you know." Terry smiled. "Well, as long as everybody's happy, that's all that matters. Say, what's that file on her desk? Is that the last thing you gotta do?" Mary looked at it. "Yeah, it's the last student. I'm just looking through everybody's files and seeing what task they were actually doing and seeing what kind of rank it was. This person's the last one." Terry then scoffed. "Hey, I thought you may need my help with doing all this. Apparently, I was wrong." Terry then laughed. May then laughed. "Well, I'm the kind of person who gets my job done fast." Terry then looked at her. "Don't do it too fast so you can make mistakes, you know." May scoffed. "Trust me, I'm the kind of person who's very diligent. I not only triple check, but I quadruple check all my work. This is just the last student, because I was doing this, and technically speaking, I really didn't have many classes today. So, I got an early start." Terry then just looked at her. "So whose file is it?" May then opened it, but upon opening it, her eyes went white. Terry noticed her reaction and actually walked beside her. At that point, his eyes like it was bucking out of his sockets. "That's her. That's the girl who actually did that to those street thugs the other day. What the—" May then caught her composure. "Her name is Rachel." "Rachel, huh?" Terry questioned. May then read, "It seems that her weapon is the Vase of Eternity." Terry then went white like he'd seen a ghost. "I know that weapon, and trust me, it is not something that is dangerous, but it isn't something that you want to mess with." May looked very confused of his actual conviction. "What does this weapon do, if I may ask?" Terry then explained, "The weapon of the vase is very complicated. A person who is using it can teleport their victims to anywhere they want to, even if they have never once been there. if they wanted to, they can teleport them right to space. But the thing is that they have to go inside the vase. And considering how things were going in that kind of timeline, I can kind of see what's going on. Maiden just looked at him. This is a formidable type person, but it doesn't seem that she's doing anything wrong. In fact, all of her missions has always been 5 stars. It seems like she's not that bad of a person, it would seem. Terry then looked at her. How many missions has she actually ever done? May then looked at the paper, and her eyes went white. She's completed 20 tasks. But then Terry looked at her and said, 20 tasks? How did she complete 20 tasks? That means that she had to have done a task every single day. Is the task board even available on the weekends? Mary looked at her and said, no. All the tasks over the weekends, you have to actually have signed up for the task during the weekday. And even then, the board doesn't actually update until that Monday. On Friday, the task board closes down at 9 o'clock. So no one can receive a task, and tasks cannot actually be done during that time unless you're completing one. If you're already on one before the time is up, then yeah, but if you want to get a new task, you'll have to wait on to Monday. Terry then looked at the paper. So you're telling me that every single time this girl got a task, she finished it within a few hours to a day? May then looked at the paper. It doesn't seem that she completed within a day. She completed it less than that. It only took her less than an hour just to complete it. And some of these tasks look like they could have another person to be having some trouble with them. I don't know how she completed them this fast. Terry then looked at her. How could it be? I don't think that she could have cheated during the task. I highly doubt that she could, considering that a person would have said something about it. Terry then looked at the paper. How is it that she's completing these tasks so fast? May took a breath and just said, maybe she's just that determined to help people. It wouldn't be the first time. Hell, look at me. I'm willing to help people in the sacrifice of my own health, as you may know. Terry then still looking at the paper. How many classes is she taking? May then researched her name. Rachel. She's only taking 2 classes actually, and all of them are special classes. Terry then relaxed. So that means she has all the time on her hands to do tasks, huh? That makes sense. But May actually stopped him. But these classes are all for at least 4 hours. Most classes are only for an hour or hour and a half tops. But all her classes are for 4 hours. I wonder who she actually is. If she's on these kind of special classes, these classes are advanced classes. Even I'm not invited to them. And I'm almost an A honor roll student. But her grades, they're all A's. If she would have actually run for student council for the president position, she can easily beat me. Terry then looked at her and just thought to himself, well, if that was the case, she would have already done it. But then Terry just actually said, I think you got a better position of winning. Besides, you have a more warming atmosphere. This girl just seems like if she were to even look at you, you'll have nightmares for a total of 2 to 3 months. May looked at him. But the townsfolk, they like her. So that means there must be more to her than meets the eye. We may have just seen her in a light that, well, she didn't want to be seen in. Terry then just looked at her. You mean the truthful light or a psychotic light? I don't know which light you want me to see, but no matter what I see, when it comes to her, it scares the living crap out of me. May just looked at him, and then she spoke. Something's off with this girl. I don't know if she's good or she's bad, but right now she's helping the townsfolk, and she's actually our biggest help. I don't think we really need to do any more research about her, but I think that she is doing a good job. There's no question about that, and she's getting the tasks done very fast, so that's a good thing. Just keep an eye on her, okay? Terry then scoffed. Well, that's the better option than I can think of, because no offense, I don't think I want to get near her when she gets pissed off. At least not be the person who gets her pissed off, because I've seen what happened to those other guys. May then thought about it. I think that she didn't teleport them anywhere dangerous. or else would have seen some missing report about him. Terry thought about it and concluded that she had to be right with that one. There's no missing report about the kids. He's seen them all. He's seen their faces pretty clearly. So that means that they must be around somewhere, just scared to death of her if they will actually meet her again. Terry then thought of another thing. Could she be these classes that she's taking part of, could they be to guard the school? Maybe she's the school guardian or something. May thought about it. You could be right. I never really heard of these classes that much, and I know that you have to be extremely skilled and extremely smart to be in them. I'll look them up and report to you tomorrow, okay? May then left, leaving Terry alone in the class. Who is this girl? Terry wondered. Something tells me that our paths will meet again, though. I'm just hoping that it's not in a bad way, though.